I just called on Jesus and prayed and stuff. I could feel my spirit getting up out of my body, reaching up like it's going to heaven, leaving me, peeling from me. I could see the sky opening up, but it's so bright. I'm like looking away. I mean, it is so beautiful, but so bright. And I could see them down here working on me. Somebody's holding my husband over here. He about to go bananas because they telling me him again that I'm leaving, you know. Sorry, y'all, I'm getting out of here. And I'm reaching up. I could see it opening up. And as it opened up, I saw like gold or something beautiful and someone like a shadow sitting on it. And as the shadow looked down, I could see people praying. It was my church and they were praying for me. And he's listening to them praying. And then all of a sudden, he reaches down and I felt power like hit back into my body. I jumped up off the gurney.
The miracle I am experiencing now is that God has led me to do this podcast, and in the process, I am getting to hear so many miracle stories and testimonies, and I am learning so much, especially with this interview of Carolyn Mobley and her son Alex Mobley and daughter Reshena Harris. They give their amazing miracle testimony of the trials Carolyn and her family have gone through when she was brutally attacked, shot in the hand and face, pronounced dead, and brought to the morgue. She miraculously survived, but it took 10 years for her to fully recover from the extensive injuries, which included blindness. Her family and friends stuck with her and prayed unceasingly. God blessed them with many miracles, and she is here now today in perfect health. Their testimony is inspiring and amazing. Welcome to the Miracle Hotline podcast. I'm Dino Pandolfo. Everyone has experienced a miracle at some point in their life. Maybe you have prayed for a miracle, or maybe you are in desperate need of help. When a miracle happens, it is overwhelming, amazing, and you are so grateful for the gift God has given you. This podcast gives you the opportunity to share your miracle story so that others may believe and have hope, and it will encourage them to keep praying in difficult times. This show examines miracles. It includes first-person accounts, interviews, and investigations of the most credible and amazing miracle stories. You can tell us about your miracle by leaving a message at 412-446-0330 or visiting miraclehotline.com. We may play your message or interview you on the podcast. Subscribe to the Miracle Hotline podcast on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or any podcast app to automatically download the newest episodes. We're again at the home of Alex Mobley. Thank you, Alex, for having me again. No problem. And when we did your podcast interview, you talked about the first miracle. The reason you weren't afraid, you weren't nervous, because you had experienced a lot of miracles in your life already. And the first miracle that you experienced was your mother. So this is great that your mother came in and she's willing to be interviewed. And where did you come in from?
North Carolina.
North Carolina. Okay, so you're in to visit, and you're going to do the interview with us in person.
Yes,
this is great.
God.
So we have Carolyn Mobley.
Yes, Carolyn Mobley.
Who you experienced the the miracle.
Yes.
And so we're going to ask you about that miracle that happened.
Don't worry about it.
And if you could tell us all about it.
Yes.
So we have Carolyn Mobley and your daughter
Reshena
Harris, and Alex is here. He's going to jump in if he has to say something.
Thank God.
So I guess, can you take us back and tell us the whole story of how basically you were shot in the face, and you look fine now, but it took you a long time to recover. You survived
but God did it, yes.
And so if you could take us back and tell us the whole story from the beginning, as much as you can remember. Like, I guess, what year was it? How old were you?
I was like I would say 30. I had to be 30 or a little older.
And where were you? Were in New York City?
I was living in New York.
We originally from New York City. We came down to relocate to North Carolina. We was here in Red Spring, North Carolina.
Okay.
Red Spring, Leamington.
Yes.
Okay. What happened was that's when you was going to work. You were trying to go to an interview that day.
Yeah.
So what year was this?
In the 80s.
In the 80s. Okay. So you're in North Carolina, and you were like living there.
I was there, and I went for a job interview.
Okay.
And as I went for this job interview, that morning I woke up. I was feeling kind of sick, and I had my cousin baby, but I was determined to go to the interview. My aunts and uncles, they was busy for some reason that day, very busy, so nobody couldn't take me.
Yeah.
And so I said, well, I'll just walk to the interview because I was in town.
Yeah.
So I figured what could happen. I just walked. But for some reason, I kept feeling so sick. Like something didn't want me to go or something. But I was determined to go because I wanted to relocate back down there.
So you were looking for
with my family. And I was going to go look for a job. Yeah.
Okay.
To move down there.
Okay.
And so I got dressed and stuff, and one of my nephews came over. So I said, can you watch the baby? I'm just going to run to this interview, and I'll be right back. It was like in one of the food places. So as I was walking up the block, somebody just started choking me and beating me up, almost, beating me to death. Beating me up to death. And
just on the street.
I was just walking up the street.
Just out of the blue.
Just, I don't know where he came from or what, because it was trees there, and I know I wouldn't go near those trees.
Yeah.
So I stayed closer to the street.
Yeah.
And as I was walking, it was cars, though, on the side of the street, so I was walking closer to the street. And I'm walking, and somebody just grabbed me put me in holes. Whoever it was had to be Army trained or something.
Yeah.
Because my husband taught me those holes. He's a martial artist.
Yeah.
And I knew holes, but this person knew them just as good as I knew them.
So it wasn't just the average person.
No, he would put me in another hole.
Because you knew how to get out of a regular
hole. Holes and stuff.
Yeah.
And when he would get out of one hole, he'll put me in another hole.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, and then I guess he got tired of we struggling together, and he went to shoot me in the face, but I blocked it, and he shot me in the hand, the first shot. And then he kept punching me and stuff in my face and stuff, and then I think I fainted for a while, and then he put the gun and shot me in the face.
So he shot you like in the cheek?
Yeah, straight.
Or straight up into...
Yeah, because it went up and into the brain.
Oh, my gosh.
And broke all this side off.
Wow.
I took it right off the nose, mouth, and stuff. Just took that off.
Wow. So you were badly injured at that time.
And it exploded in the head. Oh. It didn't come out, the bullet. It just exploded in there.
And you still have the bullet in your head even now?
Yeah. Like some of it came down, though. To God be the glory, yes. But some of it came down.
In the hand. She got shot in the hand also. So tell them what order did it happen? And you got shot in the hand first or the face first?
I got shot in the hand first.
Yeah.
And why you put your hand away?
I put my hand away fighting with him so he wouldn't shoot me in the face. And I put my hand
you had a good fight. I mean,
we were fighting for a while there. And God, to God, always have a ram in the... It was a soldier with no legs sitting on his patio. And he was yelling and hollering at the man because we fight it for a while. Yeah. And I think I blanked out. And he was dragging me. Oh. He must have been trying to drag me or put me somewhere because I heard somebody yelling when I woke up. And then I went to get up, and I experienced like an angel standing over me. And then when I went to get up, the angel put his hand down. It was a man put his hand down.
After you were shot.
The face and the hand. I was laying down.
Then you saw an angel.
Angel, yeah. I went to get up again. And when I went to get up, he put his hand down. He was like he would just stand, just put his hand down. Yes, like this. And I couldn't move when he did. I tried to get up. I couldn't move. But then when I looked, he was still clicking his gun to shoot me in the face. Oh, he had his gun again over me again, like he said, "I'm gonna kill you." Like he was mad at me or something.
Who
I
was
did
this
something
person?
to him.
Just a random.
I don't know.
Like just a
I don't know. If I'd seen him again, I would not even know him.
Did they ever catch this person? He just got away?
Never caught him or nothing, no. And because the man, he would say he was too far away to identify him. And me, I had everything was bundled in my head. So I couldn't identify him and stuff.
Because there's so many like this is in the 80s, but now it's probably even worse now. People getting shot randomly. Like, well, we have the wrong person. I just heard that news report. We thought it was this truck, and they killed a little kid in the truck because they had the wrong truck.
Yeah, and the way he was acting, the way he was beating me up and acting and yelling and stuff, he acted like I did something to him.
So maybe he thought you were somebody else.
That's what my aunt and them said. I must have looked like his wife or somebody he knew or something. Right. Yeah, they were fighting and stuff, and he mistaked me for them, And and I'm laying there, and I went to get up, and I could hear the gun clicking, click.
So that's another kind of a miracle that
and then he's trying to drag me somewhere. The gun didn't
go off again.
And he was trying to drag me, and I could hear somebody saying, I called the police. Get away from her. I called the police. Leave her alone. I could hear somebody yelling and stuff and telling him he got a shotgun. He going to shoot the shotgun. But he couldn't because I'm way on this side, and he was like way over on the other side. Sitting in a wheelchair. He was he said, come to find out he was a soldier, but his legs was missing. Yeah. So he couldn't do nothing to help me. Wow. But he was yelling. He did what he could, Wow. And the man ran because the ambulance did come. When I heard him yelling, the police and the ambulance did come. And when the ambulance came, thank God, the lady in the ambulance, she cleaned, my face and kept the skin from my face and stuff.
You kind of like passed out at that time, but you were still alive.
Yes, I was still alive.
And you went into the ambulance.
First, right there, she had to take care of me because half of my face was missing. They tried to get much as they could. Wow. He took all my,
and it's amazing because you can't. You
never know.
You would never know.
But you should have seen me then. But now you never know unless I tell you.
Right. Right.
And that was prophesied by my pastor that they would never know what happened to me.
Yeah,
unless I tell. I'll be a living testimony.
Or anything, do you?
Only one with a bullet went in.
It's so
you can't even.
So little you won't pay it no attention.
You can't even.
That's where the bullet went in.
Yeah, you can't even.
Otherwise, you never know. And that was back then where re-instruction wasn't really good, but I had an awesome doctor.
Yeah.
Yes, a young doctor did.
So tell him about
my face
the stretch of it, Mama.
And she took this because I had a piece of skin still hanging on to my face.
You missing the part. You got shot. What happened between the time you got shot, the ambulance, and going to the hospital?
Yeah, I'm telling them now. The ambulance lady. Thank God. God always put people to help me because she made sure she got everything to my face that was there, and my face.
So she had to collect,
like my teeth and half this hair was off. So she put that back up in there to put it and clean it off. She cleaned up much as she could and put it back there. And this part of the skin was, thank God, was still hooked onto my face. Otherwise, she said, they don't think it would look like this.
Yeah.
They don't think they would have been able to do that.
You don't even think
about that. But still the blood running through it kept it fresh, and she iced it and put it there.
So she kind of put your face back together
and wrapped it up.
On the scene.
And told them to leave it together until whoever takes care of it.
Yeah.
So they left it like that the whole time, wrapped up. Yes. Kept my face wrapped, half of it was off. Yeah, all that had to be put. The nose,
imagine.
The upper part was more worse.
Now we'll put a picture of you on the podcast so people can see. You look.
Yes,
you look great.
Mm-hmm. We don't even have a
before picture. I know my family was little. They were young. They were so young.
You didn't take any pictures
and my husband was in dramatized, so he didn't do nothing.
He was still in New York. He wasn't down here yet.
Yeah.
He had to get down here with me.
Oh,
and
I
the
see.
kids, they were little, you know. They were here. You were here with
was
me.
in elementary school.
They was in school when it happened.
Yeah.
Yeah, and thank God the lady in the ambulance knew to do what she did, so that made them be able to do the surgery better on
Right.
me.
Before you go to the surgery, when you get into ambulance, they took you to the hospital, and
Yes,
the first hospital, that's when they put you in the morgue.
The first hospital, they took me there, but at the same time, I'm going through this. A bus going to somewhere crashed, so all the people from that bus and me is in the emergency.
Oh.
And
So
I'm
there's
waiting.
a whole busload of people coming from this bus
yes,
crash.
they got really
All
hurt.
of you are going to the ER at the same time.
Same time, yes. And the doctor there on shift is trying to take care of all of us. Yeah, he came to me and he was like, "Oh my God," you know.
Yeah, you were in really bad shape.
Yeah, that's the first one. First hospital.
First hospital, but now you did at that time. They put my mother in the morgue at that time because they said there was no more hope for her.
Yeah, nothing they could do.
Nothing they could do. They did all that they can do.
Yeah.
So they put her in the morgue, and
So when you went to the morgue, was your heart beating? Did you know?
at that time they said she was pronounced dead. They
pronounced you dead.
They
put you in the morgue.
They didn't think I was gonna. I was living anymore. They thought that was it. Because if you see me, you would have think I had to be dead too.
Right.
You know.
Right.
With your half of a face. And
when I saw my mother's face was the size of a volleyball. It was blood everywhere in her face. Her head was so swollen, her face was so swollen because a bullet bounced around in her face, ripping up her face. 22 bullets, caliber of 22 for a weapon, a gun, is notorious. It's one of the worst guns to get shot with because it never goes in. Most bullets go in, stop, or explode, but the 22 bounces around as that bullet through your face. So it's like one of the worst weapons to actually really get shot with.
But a 22, you think of a 22 as a smaller gauge, right? Because you shoot like whatever.
But those will go in you and through you, and it will exit out. The 22 doesn't. It rarely exits out the body, so it will travel, and anything it hits, it's gonna bounce right off of it. So it will bounce through you. Like actually, it will do more damage than sometimes a larger caliber because it will tear and pierce organs up inside your body. If it hits a bone, forget about it. It's bouncing all over the place.
And that's what it did.
So now you're in the morgue.
Laying there, and they don't know I'm still alive because I couldn't tell them. You know, half of my face is gone. I'm just laying on a.
Were you conscious at all at that time?
Well, to me, I was unconscious because I couldn't say nothing to nobody. I was like just laying there like this.
Yeah,
just laying. I couldn't move. I had no movement whatsoever.
But you could kind of.
Only thing I know, I was breathing.
You were. You could tell kind of what was going on.
I couldn't see.
Right.
So I don't know but I could hear a little.
Yeah.
I could hear a little bit, but I couldn't see anything.
Let me rewind just a little bit. Because I want to hear my sister's experience of when she went to see my mother. I never heard her whole story of what happened when you went into the room, Sheena. I always told my point, but I wasn't there with you. I want to hear. The doctors came to me and my sister and told us, well, the whole family, and let us know that my mother wasn't going to make it, that she was definitely dying. So when they rolled her to the morgue, yes, she was technically dead. They're not going to roll you to the morgue unless you're dead. Yeah. You know, you have to be dead to go to the morgue.
Or
you
they
just don't go to the
dead.
morgue or for a timeout or a break or a snack break or something to get a candy bar. You go to the morgue, you dead. But I want to hear my sister's point of view. It's very important to hear her point of view because I never heard from her mouth what happened, what she was feeling, and what the impact that was on your life. And I want to hear that side. All right. I never heard that before. What happened?
Well, on my side was as young as I was, it was not a really big impact on me. I was like 6.
I was 11, so you was 9. I was 11.
You were like 9?
Yes. I was 11.
Okay. So still with that, at that age and where we grew up, it didn't faze me. Yeah. It was like something, all you hear is something happened.
Right.
Because you're young, you don't know, and your daddy's a little girl, your mama a little princess. So you think everything's butterflies and everything's wonderful. So mommy's sick.
Yeah,
and that's all. Mommy gonna get better. Mommy's gonna get better.
What that means.
So at that time, mama got to go through something. She's just sick, and she'll be home to give us something to eat, or make us give us our bath, or anything like that. So you're not really realizing it until they told us, well, your mother is not going to make it. Your mother is dying.
Wow.
So we need you to go in and say your goodbye.
Yeah.
So then at that time, well, mommy's not coming back. Well, where's she going? She's right here. So still at that time, you still don't understand. Yeah. Until people coming in, you see them crying, you see them, going through the emotions. And then because they're going through emotion, as a child, you look towards someone else. Yeah. So if you see them crying, then you start crying. Then you realize, well, maybe mommy's not coming back. Yeah. Well, then at that time,
you and Alex went to see her when she was. Yeah.
One at a time. I can't remember us going in together. I remember me being by myself. When I went in there, they say your words, and then we have to bring somebody next in to say their goodbyes. Only thing I can remember was when I went in there, all I saw was my mother. Nothing when you get older, you remember what you saw. But at that time, all I saw was my mother. Yeah. And mommy's going to get back up. Mommy's going to go get us something to eat. That's all you thinking. I'm going to get some dinner. Mama going to change my clothes, and we're going to go to bed at that time. So when I did go in, they wouldn't let us go so close. So the only thing we touched was her hand. Yeah. So I touched her hand. I gave her a kiss, and I said, I see you when I get home. Yeah. And that was it at that point in time. Right. Until you get older, until you also get into the medical field, because I'm in the medical field now as myself, then you realize what did go on, what played on. Yeah. And when I got up to the age to understand the things that I saw, that is when that miracle came in. Yeah. That is when you realize God can do all things. Right. Okay? There's no impossible with God. So when you, in that age, which I was 9, you don't realize that miracle. Yeah. Like I said before, all you see is your mother. Yeah. And mothers in a child eye never dies. They are the superwoman of everybody. Yeah. So when I got older, that's when things start coming back. That's when you start seeing things. But you don't never forget the things that you heard, the things that you did see, it always come back to you. Yeah. And when that time came, when I was in the morgue, and that's when she's your niece.
My niece.
So she's my cousin.
Niece came in because I had
So when I did see that, when she came in, and she was at that time a training nurse. She was just going to school, and she looked at my mother, and she saw a race, because when they told us that she was pronounced dead, she wasn't moving in anything. And when we was there, she wasn't moving anything at all. There was no movement, no breath, no chest going up and down. Like when somebody's in the medical field, that's the first thing you look at. You look to see if a chest go up and down. You look to see any breath coming out, breathing through the nose. But when she came in, and like my mother said, she couldn't move or anything. Only thing that she can do is hear. So when my cousin came in, that's the first thing she did. She said, I think I saw a raise. I remember her saying that. I think I seen her chest raise. And we was like, in our minds, no. So she went and got to a mirror underneath her nose. And when that mirror came, like a fade, it wasn't strong. It wasn't nothing like you had to know that medical eye to see that little breath. Right. And then when she put the mirror, the breath came, and she was like, she's alive, she's alive. And I'm looking at her, she was never dead, because I'm so young, I was 9. Yeah. So I was like, she wasn't dead to me. Right. But at that time, then she ran and got the doctors and stuff like that, and they kept telling us too, even when she said it, that she's pronounced dead, she is dead. So she had to go back and get the little mirror that she did have to show them. Yeah. And when she did show them, once again, it was so vaguely that they had to keep doing it for her to have that, to see it to see it in the mirror.
Yeah.
And so when that nurse came in and saw it, and she said, we got to rule her out right now. She is not dead. And that's when they ruled it out. But because it was so many people at that hospital that need attention, they had to take her away from that hospital, and they lifted her to another hospital.
Yeah, to another hospital. And I got to, but I want to finish what my daughter said. When she saw that I was still alive, they rolled me out. I stayed in that hospital for 1 day. 1 day, bleeding and everything still.
So you stayed at that hospital?
Yeah, till my husband had to get there. And when he got there, that's when they was able to, he give the permission for them to send me somewhere else.
Okay.
So one
Alex
day
said
I stayed in that hospital.
In his interview, he said that your niece, she was like a medic in the army, and she.
Oh, that was my uncle. He got it confused. That was my uncle.
Okay. But she was able to pull some.
Oh yeah, she took it.
Yeah,
she's the same one that was going to school and took the mirror and put under my nose and found out that I was still bruised because I was in they call it like a comatose state.
Yeah,
where you're not moving, your vital signs are so.
Oh, just very, 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 very faint.
If somebody not with a good eye or something, they'll pronounce you dead when you're still alive.
Wow.
I was in that type of state.
That's terrible that they put you.
I was in that,
they didn't check,
and I could hear them a little, just a little,
good enough.
Just a little.
Put you in the morgue.
I could hear them just a little, but I could not tell them I'm alive. Yeah. It's like I'm in my body, but my body is dead to me. I can't move. I can't. They don't see eye movements or nothing. I'm just like this, stiff, like I am dead. Wow. But I can still hear a little.
So
just a little.
That is
but I can hear them announcing me dead, and I'm trying to tell them I'm not dead, but I can't move.
But the only reason, because of once again, the medical fieldway is we rely on what? Machines. Yeah. More than our own instincts.
So
because
the instruments couldn't pick up.
So once the machine goes flatline on you, that's just when we pronounce you dead. Okay, then when machine goes that's the time we say 11:08 pronounced dead. Okay, so that's more what we relying on was the machine than the actually person itself. So when they did roll her down, because like what my brother said, they just cannot say, well, she came in the hospital, looked at her, she's pronounced dead. Yeah. Because there's a lawsuit right there. There are certain steps we have to take so there won't be no lawsuits that comes through. So, and those steps in the medical field, you got to be hooked up to machines. We got to do everything that we can possibly do for you. Everything we can possibly do for you, we have to do it in the medical field. But once that machine goes flatline on you, that's what we rely on. Yeah. Okay. We still have to give you the emergency. We call it life. The machines. We will do that. We will do it more than one time to make sure that you're not flatlined. Yeah. We could try to bring you back. Right. But after certain many attempts, we have to stop. Yeah. Okay, because after that, once again, another lawsuit can come in for me doing it so many times to try to save your life. Right. Now, I damaged you. So everything we do, you have to do it in a certain standard. Right. Okay? So when we put someone into a morgue, we have to have that flat line. We have to have that machine state that that's it. We couldn't do no more. Yeah. We tried everything possible that we can. So when you do go to the morgue, you are pronounced dead. Yeah. We do a tag, put your name on your tag and everything, and we take you down to the morgue. Yeah. Okay. So with my mother, that flat line was there. Okay. Right. But unconsciously, she was still alive. Yeah. The body, the spirit and everything was still there. But machine-wise, she was pronounced dead. Okay?
Can you imagine you're in your, could that happen a similar thing like that happened to me when I had my motorcycle accident. This happens often where a person can't respond or act, and this happened to me in my motorcycle accident. But in my mother's case, can you imagine being trapped in your own body, and you can see them, and you can hear them and see them, and they're pronouncing you dead, but you are alive. And this is why I do history. If you know history, my cousin Danny will speak on this. There's been many people actually buried alive, and buried alive and put in morgues. But the machines tell them they're dead, but they're not really dead. And also, one more point I want to go through is because my sister gave her side, now I want to give my side of what happened when a doctor came to me, because this is very important. See, my sister was younger than me, so I didn't fully grasp the situation either. But what I did know is that the one thing in my life that I loved the most, my mother, was hurt by somebody for no reason. My mother was heavy in the church. She volunteered, fed the homeless, was an usher, helped people, took care of people. My mother was a praying woman. My mother was literally what you would call a saint, living it out, not just the appearance. That's how much things she literally lived the life of a saint. And this is a year my mother fully dedicated her life to Christ. On fire, everything. That year she said, no more back and forth. I'm a child of God. I'm going to serve God. And look, the timing of this is very important. That happened the same year my mother made that decision. So this was something that the enemy, evil in the world, had attacked not just my mother, our entire family, to try to destroy us. Me, my father, all our cousins. This affected every single person in that family. So when I was in the hospital and I was only 11 and the doctor came to me, the doctor had tears. He was literally crying, not sobbing, but you know how sometimes you might experience something and tears just come down your eyes, but you're not really like weeping and stuff. He was like that. He said, son, we did everything we could for you. He said, he got my shoulder and said, I am so sorry. We tried our best. And I knew that man was telling me the truth, that he did everything. He said, there's nothing more we can do for your mother. He said, you could go in there and talk to her and see her. If you got anything to say, she might not be able to talk. She's not going to be able to say anything, but she might be able to hear you. So I went in there and I saw my mother. And that's the first, I just started, as soon as I went, I was already crying. But when I saw my mother, I was just, because my mother and father represented love, unity. Even though we lived in a hellhole of a community, a war zone in New York City, which we lived in, was a war zone. My mother and father did the best they can. And this is an important thing to know as parents. You can be the best parents you can be, but that environment is going to play a role. My mom and dad did their job, but every time I left that house, me and my sister and all young kids, and I see this today in these neighborhoods, that's why I do what I do in these neighborhoods, we still have to go out into a world that in these areas are war zones. Going down from the building, I might see a lady giving somebody head for crack or somebody shooting heroin. This is every day me going to school, things I see. My parents raised me with great love and unity, but they cannot stop the rest of the world. And this is the problem, because people are living in these bubbles like, oh, I just got to raise my kid, raise my family. But let me give you a surprise fact. If you don't, we got to raise all the children in these communities, all the kids, because if you don't, your kid will go out and these kids who not being raised right, who don't have no mother and father, this is their friends. You know what I'm saying? And I just wanted to point that out real quick, because this incident represents that, because of the area we lived in. That's when I had a good bubble. It was shattered, and I realized there is true evil in this world, and people do not want to look at it. I don't care if you're in a rich neighborhood, poor neighborhood, wherever you at. We need to help these children in these neighborhoods. How can you say you're a person of God and you don't give your time, your energy to help these children? And women, like what happened to my mother, that should not have happened. We got animals literally running around on the street, or murderers killing people, and the community know who they are and won't turn them in. So somebody knew this dude who shot my mother. Somebody knew him in that neighborhood. He ain't no stranger. He lives there. But people stood by and did nothing. And Martin Luther King said, the hottest places in hell are reserved for those who stand by and let evil flourish and do nothing. You know, and so when I went in that room, that taught me, you know, that shattered. At 11 years old, I had to learn this. That shattered everything I believed in about love. But even though I knew my mother loved me, my father, I got to see firsthand there's evil in this world. That's why I'm so passionate doing what I'm doing, because we as people of God, it's our responsibility to confront that evil. You know, and that's what happened to my mother. And as a woman of God, evil does not care who you are. I don't care about none of that. And I had to see that with my own mother, but it taught me a valuable lesson at a young age. And it had to happen to my mother. This is her testimony, but we all had to experience it, and we all should have got that lesson right there. Evil must be challenged, because when you stand around, don't do nothing, guess what? This happens every day. I see kids getting shot, murdered every day, Dino. You wonder why I'm so intense? That's why. Kids out here are dying. Daily. Women. Not just kids, women are being shot, boys are being shot, women are being, all kind of evil is going on. We have to, and this is a prime example of what happens when we do nothing. That man could have been stopped by somebody before he shot my mother. If somebody would have stood up and had the courage to say something, yeah, he's a rapist. Yeah, he's a murderer. And this happens today in my community. People don't testify. They don't stand up. They don't point them out. They just let these evil animals run around and kill and murder unchallenged. And that's what I saw happen to my mother. You know, the doctor, and that burst that bubble and saw evil exist. And look what happened. My wonderful mother did not deserve that. She did everything right in life, hurt nobody. But evil does not care about that. That's why men, real men of God, need to stand up, unite, patrol our own communities, police our own communities, protect our women, protect our children. And family, you can no longer say, oh, yeah, I'm going to do this, yeah, when I got time. No, people are dying. Now is the time. And that's it.
Yes. And I just want to thank God how my niece came, and she, you know, put the mirror there, and she was taught to look for that, because she had an old-fashioned teacher, she said. And that old-fashioned teacher didn't always go by the instruments. She would teach her the old way. The old way, they put a mirror under your nose.
I've heard about that, but I didn't know that's something you would,
they put a mirror.
And that would just catch the faintest amount of...
but you got to know what you're looking for to see that. Because it was just a little faint she saw. She said, that's a little on the mirror. And they let her know I still was here.
You were still
they rushed me out of the room. And then the doctor came back, examined me again. He said, her face is so, they can't do nothing with it. So they said they called other hospitals. So they called another hospital, but they had to have permission from my husband to do this. So my husband said he'll be right there. So he's in New York. So he got down there quick as he could. And they sent me to another hospital the next day. But they're doing the whole night. My niece.
Who came with Dad?
Uncle
Randy and Walter came with our father.
But during the night, my niece stayed with me all night long and taking care of me, pulling blood clots out of my mouth and stuff so I wouldn't choke, because, you know, the blood was coming still out my mouth and stuff. And there was so many people and stuff. The nurse come, she do what she could, and then she's gone to another person.
So
and
your
another
niece was
person.
Still there,
she was there helping out.
She was helping you herself.
She was helping in the hospital.
And or else you could have
I could have choked. But she said they wasn't monitoring me enough. She said,
well,
but they
God
said they had so
niece.
many. And my niece, she stayed there. She took the blood clots out and taking care of anything that I needed all night long with me, and she wasn't even a nurse yet, but she stayed and she knew what she was.
She saved your saved your life.
Yes, because the lady said that, because I could have choked on the blood and stuff. and the clots was coming out
still
big and
bleeding
stuff.
and
I'm still bleeding and everything. And they gave me, gave her the stuff to clean me and take care of me and everything. But she said blood clots was in my throat and stuff. She would just take them out and stuff. And I was like,
wow.
Oh my God, you was
so
doing that. She
important.
said, I had to do that to save you, because they didn't want to mess with me because they think they'll get sued and stuff.
Right.
They didn't really want to touch me.
Yeah. Well, that's true. Like you hear about that, and people should know if your family member is in the hospital, you shouldn't just trust the doctors and the nurses.
You better stay there and keep your eyes on them till you sure.
You can make sure they're
till you sure they're okay,
Yeah.
they're well enough where they can do something themselves or let you know if something's wrong.
So you should watch your family or your friends if they're in the hospital. Make sure
they're okay before you leave them.
You have to understand the medical side. Once again, to go back to the medical side of everything, it is all standard. There's rules and regulations in everything that you do at any job that you go through. And because of a medical way, it sounds bad, but people sue everything.
Yeah.
People is nervous to touch people now. Yeah. And it sounds horrible. Doctors take oaths to do the last thing they can do for you. Yeah. But it's in the back of your mind. Is I'm going to get sued. Yeah. Is she going to sue me? Is he going to sue me? If I do this, I don't do this right. Yeah. I'm going to lose my license. I'm going to do this and this. But they are taking their risk. They are taking their whole livelihood to save you. Yeah. And when they do that, then you come around and what? Sue them. Right. You come around and say, well, they didn't do that. They didn't do this. Yeah. They killed my mother, or they killed my father. They killed my brother, my sister, my child. Yeah. You understand? But I gave you everything that I had. Everything that I knew to do, I did that for you. Right. But on the other hand, people don't look like that. All they see is somebody's dead in my family. So what can I do? And then you also have people that's money hungry as well. Yeah. Now you have all types of things, especially in a medical field, that they can do to you. Yeah. And then doctors, nurses, they have families too. Yeah. So if they take your license away from you, how are they going to feed their family?
Right, and they have to pay so much for malpractice insurance. That takes a lot.
It takes a lot of things. So when people do go into the hospital, that's what is so important for family members to come around. Yeah. And especially, you ain't the only one there. Right. It sounds horrible, but once again, it's a medical thing. I mean, you got people, and if you see that I have done all that I can do, what else can I do? Yeah. Okay. Yeah. The knowledge that I have, the book smarts that I have, I done used everything. Yeah. Okay. Now I have a busload of people that I think I can save. Right. Okay. Right. It may sound like, well, okay, one casualty, but I saved 200 people. Yeah. Okay. But when my aunt was there, she did everything that she knew to do. Thank God. Okay. And God put you in places for people to help you. Yeah. God gave everybody a purpose in life. Yeah. Okay. And that purpose at that moment of time was for her to be there. Yeah. And she done did what God asked her to do for right then and there.
She's part of this miracle.
She's part of this miracle as well.
Thank God she was there and she knew what to do. And she pulled you out of the morgue.
She was a big,
correct.
Otherwise you'd be a goner.
And she was a big part of it that I didn't even really remember when I got better. Yeah. I didn't remember her as her. I remember her as my aunt. Yeah. You know, because I was more, my niece, I didn't remember my niece. I remember my niece as more of thinking she was my aunt. Yeah. I mixed them up. Right. And as I got better, then I realized what my niece did for me, you know. As I get better and better, I realized later on, that was years later, me getting better because I've been through so much, getting shot, the operations I had to go through.
So you were moved to a second hospital.
A second hospital, and they took me to the second hospital, and I get there, and my blood is rotten in my body, poison in my body. And thank God had a ram in the bush. There was a nurse there, and they told her that if she touched me, I could sue her, a malpractice and stuff. But she said, this lady, look at her. And she's still holding on. I couldn't talk or tell her anything, but I could hear her talking. And I could hear her saying, she's holding on. I'm going to do whatever I can to help her. I'll worry about the malpractice later. And she said, I don't think this lady going to do nothing like that. She can't even move or do anything. She said, I got to get this blood out of her. And they was telling her, no, leave her like her is, and we'll send her to another hospital. Because they checked me out, everything, and they said nothing they could do. They said they don't even know how I'm still alive.
And this is the second hospital.
But see, they didn't know. They didn't know when they was working on me, I was a child of God. See, they didn't know that. So I couldn't tell them it. But, but God knew his child was there. And
because you had already seen the angel on the sidewalk.
Yeah, they don't know they got a child of God there.
And he's looking over you.
Yes, he's working it out. He's going to work it in my favor. But sometimes we're going to have to go through some fire before we get to get the benefits of it.
You can't tell a testimony unless you go through a test.
Go through something. I had to go through something. I never been through nothing. I'm out there doing what in the world, what I think, I want to do, how big I am to do, or the way I want to do it, But I had gave my life to God, and and I'm serious. When I gave my life to God, I said, I'm going to live for God, and it's going to be what God wants,
So then that's what your son said, that
I dedicated my life to God.
Dedicated your life, and right away, you were
and I come down here, and then I get somebody almost beat me to death and kill me.
Yeah, and that's what's so hard about being, a follower of Christ. Like all the disciples were martyred. When we follow Jesus, we think, I'm going to be. He's going to take care of me. He's going to make me happy.
He is.
He is in a way, but in the other way.
But sometimes things happen. Sometimes you're going to have to go through some things too. Tests. You might have some tests and stuff.
And that's a blessing.
Yes. We look at it not a blessing. That's what Alex
said. His stroke is a blessing.
Yes.
And that's so... It's such a hard concept to understand.
Because and you won't, sometimes you don't see it till you go through your battle, and it's like somebody's in war. They don't get to celebrate to after the war. You don't, but people that know how God is and what he can do, you can celebrate going through your battle, and I'm laying there, but they're worrying, but I'm laying there in peace because I know God gonna work it out either way, death or life. I got the victory either way. I'm a child of God. That's what I'm thinking. If I die, I get a crown. If I live, I go on worshiping and serving God till he call me home.
Wow.
So I ain't worried about it. It's more of the people hurting and suffering that I know. I can hear them, And I'm laying there, and they sent me to the other hospital, and the nurse got me, and she said she's not gonna make it if we don't give her blood transfusion. She's gonna definitely die. Her blood is, you can smell it. I'm rotting.
So it's like infected.
It's gonna infect me. It's gonna kill me because you can smell it rotten. And she said as soon as they brought me in, I could hear her saying, I could smell her blood. She's rotten. They didn't give her a transfusion or nothing. She's not gonna make it not even an hour, so the blood will kill her.
Wow.
And they was fussing. She's not going to make it anyway. She said, no, I'm going to give her a blood transfusion and give her a chance to make it. I'm going to do what I can and stuff. And then she gave me had them give me a blood transfusion, and she rushed me to the next hospital. They rushed me to that next.
So you go to a third hospital.
This is the third one. But on my way to the third hospital, they took me out the hospital, the ambulance, and I could feel death. It came on my body, and they announced me dead again.
Oh my gosh!
Announced me dead again. Yes, as they were rolling me down, I got so cold. I was colder. Yeah. It felt like I was colder than when I was in the morgue. Because they keep that morgue so cold. I was freezing.
Oh, my God.
And I just called on Jesus and prayed and stuff. And it's like he just put me to sleep until they took me out of there, But I'm rolling. They rolling me to the hospital. And as they rolling me, I could feel my body just like ice cube.
So
I can feel the
your
spirit
body
leaving.
temperature started.
Yeah, it's going down, and
down.
my spirit is. I can feel my spirit getting up out of my body, reaching up like it's going to heaven, like it's leaving me, pulling from me, reaching up like that, like I'm reaching up. And as I reached up to reach up to go to heaven, I could see the sky opening up, but it's so bright that I'm like looking away. I mean, it is so beautiful, but so bright.
Yeah.
That brightness is a brightness you never seen before. And I could see them down here working on me. And my husband,
you were out of your body.
And I'm coming out. I'm coming, lifting up out of my body. And then I could see them working on me. And somebody's holding my husband over here because he's about to go bananas because they telling me him again that I'm leaving, you know.
Yeah.
And I'm reaching up. And as I'm reaching up to go up, my body, my flesh, my spirit is leaving out. And it's like got to my feet part, like to my toe. It's coming out, yeah. And they done announced me and like putting their stuff up, and I'm to my toes, and it stopped there, and I'm like lifting up, like I'm getting out of here, you know. Sorry, y'all, I'm getting out of here, and I'm reaching up, and as I could see it opening up, and as it opened up, I saw like gold or something beautiful.
Wow.
And someone like a shadow sitting on it.
Yeah.
And as the shadow looked down, I could see people praying. Now I knew who they were. It was my church. And they were praying for me.
Yeah.
Asking God, you know, don't take me, spare my life.
And that was that your church in New York or your church?
Yes, my church in New York.
You're in South Carolina or North Carolina. And you can see people praying for you in New York.
Praying for me. And I told my sister, I saw them praying. And I could tell her who was praying and stuff. And she said, yeah, we were praying.
Wow.
And I told her, and she couldn't believe it. And I said, I saw them praying for me. And as if, you know, I would take it as if he's looking down, God's looking down, and they're praying. And he's concerned about what they're saying. You know, the love he had for his people.
Because he could hear, you could hear them, and he could hear them.
Yeah, they his children.
Yeah.
It's like he's looked like a father and a mother
praying,
with they praying.
You saw prayers going up from the other side.
And he's listening to them praying. Yeah. And then all of a sudden, he reaches down. And I felt power, like hit back into my body. I jumped up off the thing. They ran back to me again, checking me out. They said, she just lift up. You know, my husband stopped. They all running, looking at me on the gurney.
Wow.
Because I lift up and fell back down. You know.
Wow.
So my husband, God let my husband go, and they all running back to the gurney to look at me. And they just took and rushed me into the hospital. When they rushed me into the hospital.
And this is on the way to the third hospital.
Into the hospital. You know, the emergency exit. They taking me in there. And as they took me in there, the doctor, one of the doctors met me at the door. And they said, oh, my God, she's nothing I can do. You take her back to the other hospital. She's too, yeah. And I'm hearing this. And he said, and no, I got a little down a little bit.
Yeah.
I said, oh my God, I went through now. He's turning me down. But ain't come another doctor. He said, I'll take care of her. He said, he was younger. The other doctor was older.
Right.
And
he had to be in his 20s.
The younger doctor said, she made it this far, she gonna make it the rest of the way. He said, if God brought her here, he said, God gonna bring her the rest of the way. He said, I'm gonna do my job. She gonna be all right. And he said, well, you sure you're gonna do it? And he said, yes, I'll take it. Yeah. And he took it, and he's the doctor that worked on my face, my nose, put my
so at that third hospital,
operation.
Able to start
the third hospital. Yes, the third hospital did all the operation.
This young man. And this young man just came from his intern. He just graduated from his intern and became the doctor.
Oh, wow.
Okay, so my mother was his every first patient, right?
Yeah.
That he worked on. And that's what she said, that type of operation. When he did see her, and as young as I was, he did say that if she came this far, God has something in plan for her. So he said to my father that he's going to do everything impossible that he has to do to make her better, to fix her face. And then he said, I can do it. If you give me the permission, I can do it.
He said he can do it.
So
God
when
do the rest.
when he asked my father, because he wouldn't touch her until my father gave him the permission, and my father said, if you can give her alive, let him do it.
He said, God will do the. He said, I'm gonna do the operation.
Another miracle. I mean, one thing after another.
Yeah. I mean, God took me through so much. I tell you, God is just so awesome. If you just let him work in your life, he'll show you how awesome he is. I tell you, he may have it in earth. What is us? We just the little, like he said, we're the clay and he's the potter. And he'll mold you and shape you and what you need to be. You know, some people think living down here is so hard. It's not hard. You can live your best life right here. You ain't got to wait till you get to heaven. You can live it right here.
Yeah.
You know, right here on earth. God will make it so you be like, God, you just so awesome.
You
so
have to
good.
have faith. You have to have a good attitude.
Oh, yes. If you got faith, you going to have a good attitude. All that going to
make
come
yourself
together.
Miserable.
Yes,
if you believe in God, you have faith, you can see the good things.
Yes.
Even when you're
through the bad. Through the bad.
When you're having
a
hard time.
And going through that, you know, with him operating and stuff, it wasn't easy. I went through pain and everything else, you know, but God took me through it, you know. You know, when the operation on the mouth, I mean, my mouth was so messed up. I couldn't eat for years.
They wired her mouth shut. Because everything was so broken, they put everything back together the best way they can and wired. Like, she had braces, but it was wired braces. She only can drink through a straw. It got to be a little fine straw. She couldn't move her mouth at all.
Wow.
So because it had to grow and mold back into her
so
face.
All those bones had to heal.
Everything was broken from up here.
Yeah, put the bone back in. Talking about a person learning how to pray. You let somebody, I love to eat now. And they wired my mouth together. Me and Jesus had a one-on-one. I learned how to pray and everything else. No, they wired it all up and stuff. And now, when nobody not looking, I would squeeze some food through them wires. And they come back and I get caught because the food be stuck in my wire. Yeah, but it was rough, and I had to wear them things for a year and so, and then they didn't want to take them off. I was like, I cried out to God till they moved them wires off my mouth. I went through a lot of things, you know, with that happening, with them shooting me like that, and them constantly operations. And
so how many operations?
I think about 20. And then after God, you know, taking me through that, and he operated on me, my face, my mouth, my nose, you know, my eyes. I couldn't see for a long time.
You couldn't see.
And then God gave me back my sight. Yeah,
so
I couldn't
you were
see.
blind even after.
Yeah, it exploded in the brain. Oh. And then they wanted to operate on my brain.
The bullet went into your brain.
Yeah, and exploded and it went into the brain.
So you were blind.
Yeah, for a while. They announced me blind.
Wow.
But God healed my eyes, and I could see. I don't see perfect. Yeah. You know, one eye's better than the other one, but I can
still
see.
Affect that.
It still affects me to the day because of the fragment.
Yeah.
I go to the doctor afterwards, like a couple of years later, and doctor asked me, how can I see? I said, I can see.
Yeah.
They say, you know, you got fragments in your head and stuff.
Because when they do an X-ray and stuff, they can see that.
Yeah, I didn't tell them. They told me, why you got I gotta tell the police department you got fragments in your head. I said, they know already.
Yeah.
I said, that happened years ago. But, you know, I had the fragments.
Wow.
And they could see, and they asked me, how can you see? I said, it's Jesus.
Yeah.
They say it's a miracle. You can see.
Right, that you got your eyesight
fragments
back.
in your head and stuff. I told them I know.
And some still came down.
Yeah. They came down. They came down.
Started
because they left that hole. The doctor left a hole on the side of my face so they can't come down.
So they came down in the mouth.
When they pulled my teeth, I have to have, a lot of problem with my teeth, So they pulled a couple of my teeth and the fragments came out my face.
Wow.
That's another going to the dentist. The dentist people, they're amazed. Every time I go to the dentist, they be
find
talking,
little chunks of
metal coming out, And I tell them, that's come from being shot in the face, and they be like, oh my God.
So you were bedridden after you came home from the hospital. You were bedridden for a long time.
Long time.
And Alex says in his testimony that a miracle was that your husband stayed with you, was faithful for that, and your kids, and he took care of you.
Yeah, in the hospital.
And you were like the mom before then. You took care of everybody, and now all of a sudden you're
everybody taking care
bedridden.
of me.
You couldn't get out of bed?
Nope. They took care of me. The children took care of me. They were little, and they'll make me some ravioli or instant stuff, in the cup, oatmeal or something before they go to school.
Because your husband still was working.
Yeah, he still had to work.
And you kids were going to school, but everyone kind of pitched in.
My mother, my aunt, they come by faithfully.
And did you end up staying in North Carolina, or did you go back to New York?
No, we went back to New York.
Okay.
Yeah, and they took care of me, my aunt, my mother, and my kids until I got able to take care of myself. Yeah. But God's so good, because after that, I had operation after operation. Then my large intestine busted, and oh my God. And
but
God
after
took
10
me
years,
through that.
I mean, did you get start getting a little bit better over time,
yes,
progressively?
I got better, thank God. After
it took
operation,
10 years to get out of
just to start getting better. It was about 5 years. I started getting better. Yeah. Then I had the large intestine bust.
Now, was that due to the...
They said due to the, getting...
operation.
Operation after operation or the metal. They don't really know what did it. So you had another but I had a hole in my intestines.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
But then,
God took me through.
After all this, you look like you're fully healed.
You never know. I've been through all that. Colostomy bag, all that.
And you're how old now?
I'm still young. A young 65. I'll be 65 this year.
And you were healed and you're fine. And now you're going back to everything you used to do before.
Yes. God is good.
You were shot.
Yes. He brought me through that.
Wow.
Yes, with a mighty hand.
They say God will put more on you than you can bear. So my bareness may not be your bareness. Your trials and tribulation may not be as strong as was her. But every trial and tribulation to yourself
makes you strong.
It makes you stronger.
Makes you
and he said, I wouldn't put more on you than you can bear. So if he says that, he's going to help you through it.
Sometimes,
but like you said before, you have to have the faith. You have to have the believing of it. Okay? And sometimes he just said, the only faith you need is a mustard seed. And a mustard seed is very small. So that's all you need.
Sometimes going through it, we don't think so.
It's so hard when you're going through it.
Yeah, because we don't want to go through nothing.
You think, my problem is bad.
Yeah.
And then you get somebody else's problem, you be like, my problem was nothing.
Maybe I shouldn't complain.
Marriage is one of the ultimate expressions of living out God's definition of love is through marriage. When God brings the union of a man and woman together, like that's a really because first to learn love, you gotta love yourself. That's first and paramount.
Yes,
you gotta understand love, and a lot of people do not understand God's definition and love in the Holy Bible. Jesus Christ's whole life represents God's definition of love in the Holy Bible. His life here in human form represents that. Every disciple, apostle, actions represent God's definition of love. Not just talking about it, compassion, mercy, humbleness, caring, empathy. All the disciples, all the apostles, all the servants, all the deacons. When God talks about all the spiritual gifts, he gives people, and people actually live out their spiritual gifts. All of these are examples of living out God's definition of love. See, this is the most important thing. It's not just a word, a description. I can't tell you how many people I've seen just talk about God's definition of love, but are you living it out? Are you striving to live it out? That's the most important thing. And when my father and my mother went through what they went through, my mother got shot, well, her testimony, this is not just her testimony, this is my father's testimony also. He couldn't be here because he wasn't feeling well, but we would represent him and we carry his legacy and what he represented and what he did through these trials and tribulations. Because what he did for my mother, the marriage vows, to death do us part. See, there's a illusion of what love is. The Hollywood version, kisses, dates, we going on trips, roses and love and having sex and making sex and love and all that stuff. But the real, true definition of living out, God's definition of love in the Bible, it isn't easy. It isn't meek. It isn't always perfect. It's to death do us part. You love them. You love their positive side. You must love their flaws too. You cannot just love a person and toss them away for their flaws. You got to love them completely, unconditionally. That's what God's definition of love is. And we got to love ourselves that way and treat every other human being in humanity with that love. If you say you're a person of God, how can you love God and do not love your fellow man or women the same way that God has loved you when you was a sinner, when you was flawed, when you was making mistakes, when you wasn't perfect, when you was doing your dirt, when you was sinful, ugly, treated people bad? God still loved you and gave you grace and mercy. How can you turn around then and look down on other people because of their race, their color, their gender, if they're LGBTQ, if they're in a homeless shelter, alcoholic? How can you not love them for their flaws when God has loved you so? How can you not? How can you look at that and live that out without loving your fellow man, being kind to your fellow man? Because this is very important, because you don't know what struggles people are facing in their lives every day. They could put a smile, but they can be crying and dying on the inside. And my father lived out that example of love. And when I say God, a marriage is one of the ultimate examples of it. First, you got to love yourself. That's one. Two, when you find a wife and you live that out and y'all grow in love together, maturity, that's when you learn to live out that definition. That's why the divorce rate in this country and around the world is sky high, because people are not living out God's definition of love in the Holy Bible. And any before that, even before the Quran, the Torah, the Bible was written, you are created, every single person, in the image of God. So that definition is ingrained in your DNA, your chromosomes. You're born with that. Before any religion, any books, anything, you telling me people didn't know who God was before that? You're born with that. So the key is you got to look into yourself and find out what that definition means. Not just by reading a book, not just by reading the Bible or going to church and somebody's preaching a tib or a little part of love. Love is an immense definition. The life of Christ is love. The life of all the apostles, their actions. Love covers about 80% of the Holy Bible, because it covers actions, living it out, teaching, compassion. That Holy Bible, 80% of that, at least 80%, covers God's definition of love. So when a man and a woman really love, that's the most beautiful thing, or expression of love there is. And that passes on to their kids, to their family, immediate family, then their extended family, then the community, then their city, the country, the world. You want to fix America? Start living out God's definition of love. You want to fix racism? Start living out God's definition of love. You want to fix homeless? Start living out God's definition of love. You want to lower the crime rate, the molestation? Start living out God's definition of love. Not just reading it, not just hearing it, but actually striving to live it out. And that's what my dad did. You know, my dad lived out the definition of love with my mother. And my mother does it for him. She lives out that definition, not just reading it. Because you watch these Hollywood movies, all these nice clips and fairy tales. It said, in sickness and in health. This is a prime example of what that looks like. That's why it's so important to do these interviews, record these interviews, and get them on all our platforms of all the members of the body of believers, because we are the light of the world. We are the body of believers unified. We are supposed to be the example of this.
Yes.
Working in unity, the example of this. And when my father went through, I seen him, me and my sister seen it. He went to work every day. Construction is a trade, a job that is no joke. It's extremely dangerous. But he will come home. He'll leave out 5 a.m, come home. Sometimes didn't even change his clothes from work. Feed my mom, change the colostomy bags, whatever medically he had to do. Make sure me and my sister was good. Help us with homework. So if this man was working out of 24 hours, probably 18 of them 24 hours, he probably slept only 4 hours a day. That is love. That's living out God's definition of love. Because when you live that definition out, it's not going to let you be comfortable watching other members of humanity suffer. And that's what's going on. Churches is not comprehensively teaching this to their people. That's why we got what's going on. Y'all know it's written in Revelations, but no matter what, if this world is burning around us, God people are to stand up and live that definition out and challenge this evil. It should not be going unchallenged. That because people are not living out the definition of love. To death do us part. Sickness and health. You know what I mean? Marriages I've seen broke up and people left their spouses because they have gotten sick. That is not love. When you married that man and woman, you couldn't have loved them, or you couldn't have understood the definition of love. Because if you did, you would have not had left them at the time they need you the most. That's love. When you there through the good, the bad, the ugly, the unthinkable, you are there. Even if it causes your life, you will sacrifice that for the person you claim you love.
Yes. And that's I was saying when I was telling him about when the sky opened up and I could see it was a shadow and it was looking down at the people of God praying for me. And the love that compassion and love I felt when I saw when he reached down, as if he say, my children need me. And I say, it could have been a whole bunch of things going on in the world. Yeah. Because God controls the whole world. He takes care of the whole world. But yet he looked down at little me and worried about little me. Yes, Lord. Well, I don't even know why he cared, but he did. And I just thank him, like my son say, love. Yeah. You know how great that word is and how much power that word has if we just do that. Love one another. You know, and he had compassion on my sisters and brothers crying out for me. Because not only affect me, it affect them too. Yeah. And God said, my children need me. Right. We're his children. And he cared and came to our aid because I'm still here. Yeah. Only by his mercy and grace. Put back together, but still here. Yeah. You know, and I say, God is just amazing. So good, you know.
Now, okay, so my last question is, how has your life and your faith changed since you experienced this whole...
Oh, you can't tell me. You can't make me doubt him. You can't tell me he can't do... He can't, you know, some people say he can't do this, can't do that. Yeah. Oh, you can't tell me that. You don't even want to tell me that because I'll be worse than my son sitting over there. You be like, oh, Lord Jesus, I shouldn't have said nothing to her. You know, it just builds your confidence.
So you're glad you went through this?
Yes. If I had to say.
If you had to do it all over again.
If I had to do it all over again, I know God will take me through it. Yeah. You know, he ain't going to want to go through it now. Yeah. This don't want to go through it. But the Spirit say, you can make it. Yeah. You can do it. He took you through it once. He'll take you through it again.
You're stronger.
And I can say, for my life, he has done it. Yeah. Because I've been through that. I've been through colostomy bag. I've been through mouth wired up. He took me through that. I've been through can't see. He took me through that. And I tell people, like, it was prophesied that they wouldn't understand because they can't see my hurt. They can't see my pain. They can't see the scars. They can see it on other people, and they be like, yeah, I know what you went through. But me, they look at me and say, don't look like you've been through nothing. You know, I tell them I've been through all this. What?
Yeah.
And they be like, are you sure? and stuff. I say, yes, I've been through this, you know, and stuff. And I can tell them, you
your
can,
faith
you can make it. You can do it. Yes,
solid, more solid now because of that experience.
No one like him. He's he could be a friend, a mother, father, sister, brother, whatever you take him to be. That's what he been to me, you know. Even when they say they can't do nothing, because doctors can only do, like my daughter said, what they've been taught to do. Or how far they can go. Yeah. And when medicine don't work, you better have somebody else on your side, because that's it. We only get one life. Yeah. You know, when it's over, it's over. Right. You know.
And that's the good thing about it. Because God said, I give you one life. So what you go through, he's not going to bring it back. Yeah. Because he said, I give you one life. So what you have to go through is what you're going to go through. And like I said before, he said, I'm going to not give you more than you can bear. Yeah. If we got to go through that life again, you think we can make it? That's why he loved us so much, we don't have to go through it again. Because he done did it that first time.
So you don't have to live it.
Okay. And if you have that lifestyle, he said that it's a joy in serving me. So that joy is there. So we are of the world, but we're not in the world. We don't do as the world do. We're here because we are just passing.
Yes, passing.
Okay, because people say death is it. Death is not it. Not it. Death is just your next stage. Okay,
you live to live.
You
again.
live to live again. We live because God's promised that there will be a heaven for us to be there. Okay, and also he said it's as heaven as in the earth. Okay, just as in heaven, you should have heaven in the earth too. Earth is not always hell. There's peace. He said, I will give you peace of all understanding. So when you go through things, and like my mama said, death also is a miracle. But when we go through things in life, you pray and you ask God. And if he said, if it's in my will, that miracle could be here on earth. I don't have to take you away from me. You are we are his children. We are children of a king. We are children of a priesthood. So for me to tell that story, I have to go through something. Because if you go through something, all I can tell you if the book wise. If I ain't never been through it, if I haven't experienced it or felt it myself, I only could give you the expertise I read through a book. But if I've been through it, I can say, you know what? I felt your pain. I know what you're going through. I went through it. You've been shot. I've been shot. Right. Okay? Right. The times you had to cry, I cried. Yeah. So I'm here to tell you, I can make it. Makes you better. You can go through it. Lord. You can, because that bearment sometimes feel is unbearable. Yeah. Okay? And God did not say you're not going to go through it with flying colors. He didn't say that he's going to make it easy for you. He said, I will put no more than you can bear. But he didn't say I will make it easy. Yeah. Yeah. So you're going to go through something, but that bearable feels like it's going to take you out. Yeah. Okay? But God does not lie. He's a man that does not lie. Yeah. So physically, people lie, people do this, but he does not. Yeah. So if he said, I'm going to deliver you, he's a man of his word. He will deliver you. But you got to go through something. Right. You can't think you're not going to go through anything. Oh, I get saved. It's done.
It's all roses.
It's all roses.
Yeah, you're at the beginning.
No, wasn't all roses for Jesus.
No.
What about us?
He didn't even do anything. Yeah. He was the healer. He was the deliverer. He was blamed for something he did not do. He was hung for something he did not do. Yeah. And while he was on that cross, he said, They do not know what they're doing.
Right. Right.
Forgive them.
Right.
Now, if that ain't love, I don't know what to tell you. Because if it was me, all of them be gone. Okay? So that's why that's why God sent his only begotten son. Because he looked on the earth to see if somebody was capable of doing it. No man on earth was capable. Because we are in the flesh.
Yeah.
You hurt us. There's pain. You gonna think you're gonna strike me about 2 or 3 times and I'm gonna forgive? We have to work on that.
Yeah.
You know, he had the power to do it right then and there to take us out.
Yeah.
But he didn't.
But he didn't.
No.
People on
Thank you,
earth
Jesus.
would have took him out just like that. Bam! He hit me. That's it. But because he had that love, he knew the end game.
He loves us, yes.
That's why when he was on that cross, he saved the guy next to him, and the other guy did not want to come.
Yeah.
Still on the cross, still with the thorns on his head, the nails in his hand and his foot. He was still saving.
Yeah.
Through his pain, through the spear through his side. He still loved us to take that man next to him, with him, and still ask God to forgive them, the one that did it to him.
Right.
And that's love. That is.
We just want to say thank you for letting us tell our testimony.
Yeah, thank you for doing it. It's
Yeah, we're
amazing when
glad
you hear
to tell what
the whole
God has
story,
done.
all the details, how even more amazing it is. And thank
he
you so
keeps
much.
doing great things. So,
It's
you
wonderful.
know, hey, he keeps doing great things in my life. So I can't stop praising him and thanking him for it. So it's a blessing.
And if you don't go through anything, thank God you didn't have to go through nothing.
Thank you, Sheena. You don't have to go through something. You blessed right there.
That's right there. That's a miracle.
All right,
of its own.
Alex, can you take us out with your plugs?
Oh, okay. All right, how you doing, everybody? If you get a chance, check us out. My mother interview, my sister, and my wife interview is going to be on YouTube channel, The Body of Believers Unified. The Body of Believers Unified. If you could visit, support us, and help us out spread our ministry. We are a virtual church. So far, we had 811 people come through our doors since opening April 26th, which is a blessing. The reason that the church is virtual, because we're doing real live programs in our communities, and we're targeting the worst communities, the highest crime communities, poverty-stricken, economically depressed communities, where many people are suffering. That's where we're focusing all our energy and our efforts. We work with various churches, all organizations, anybody that's about love, or anybody you see on our page is actually helping people in the community. Every single one. That's what you only and will ever see on the Body of Believers YouTube channel. So help us out, like, subscribe, comment, share. That's how everybody can help us. And hopefully, if you have any gifts or talents, we'll do an interview with you doing something great, helping other people. We'll be glad to interview you in person or through Zoom. And you got a church that's really active in the community, really helping the people, we'll definitely come there, tape their service, put it on our channels and all that. And especially if you got a miracle or a testimony and you've been through something in your life that God has brought you through, please contact the Miracle Hotline podcast. We got the interviews on my channel, on my Facebook page is Alexander Eric Mobley III. Send me a friend request. I'll share it. I know I'll accept it, and you'll be on there. But I thank everyone for all this, and I really thank my family, Dino, Sheena, because this is an example of the power of unity together. See, when we work together, we was able to get the full story of the interview. This is the reason God has blessed people with different talents and gifts, not just for you, but for all of humanity, because we need each other. We have to work together. When I see people and I feel the sense of their gifts and see different gifts, what I see is we need to work together. That's why God has given each of us different gifts, and we need to take time to do this to help the general public and humanity. If we don't take the time out, there's a lot of great people doing amazing ministries, but they're not linked. All these great people are not linked together. They're not spending time together, and which they think that was take from what they're doing, but what they don't understand. If you work in unity, you know how more powerful you are, more people you can reach. This times everything you're doing right now individually, time it 100, times it to 1,000, 10,000. Every movement in history, good or evil, that has had a severe or powerful impact on humanity, study what the one same thing they all shared. That was unity. They spent time together. They worked together. They worked and strategized how to help each other. It's easy if you know love. It's not hard. It's very easy. And with that, I thank you so much, Dino, and God bless your ministry, brother. And I'm sending you people left and right. We're going to get this thing exploding. All right. With that, I'm out of here. Good night. Good love, everybody.
All right. Thanks, everybody. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you.
Okay. What an amazing testimony. Thanks again to Carolyn, Reshena, and Alex. My miracle is that God is blessing me through this podcast with the fellowship, testimony, and teaching of all my guests. For more information about Alex's ministry, subscribe to his YouTube channel, The Body of Believers Unified. If you have a miracle story, call in and leave a message, 412-446-0330, or visit miraclehotline.com. If you truly believe in your heart that you have experienced a miracle, we want to hear from you. If your story is compelling enough, we will play it on the podcast and we may even interview you. It is so important that we tell everyone about what God has done for us. Revelations chapter 12 verse 11 says, "They triumphed over Satan by the blood of the Lamb and by the word of their testimony." Subscribe to the Miracle Hotline podcast on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or any podcast app to automatically download the newest episodes. The Miracle Hotline podcast is sponsored by Imagine Audio and Media for all of your audio and video production, voiceovers, and CD and DVD duplication. Visit ImagineAudioMedia.com. And by Perky Pet Sitting, trusted, loving, and conscientious pet care at an affordable price in the Pittsburgh area at perky.com. That's PURR-KY.com for pet boarding, cat visits, and many other specialty services. This has been the Miracle Hotline Podcast. My name is Dino Pandolfo. Please give us a call at 412-446-0330 with your miracle story, or visit miraclehotline.com.